The way you confidently show up on camera and your content and your messaging and in your sales strategy is going to be the determining factor whether your content converts or lands on deaf ears. And please believe us, we've been through some things, lessons learned, mistakes, and success. And one thing that we have found is that without confidence, without clarity, and a clear sales strategy, you're going to possibly stay under that 10K threshold and not be able to break it. And so today we are breaking down the exact 4 proven steps to help you get past that, things that you're possibly not using yet. And you definitely don't want to miss number 3. We want to speak to you if you are an online coach who's already amazing at what you do. You're creating content, you have an amazing offer, but you're stuck endlessly in this content hamster wheel. You're possibly wondering where your next client is coming from. And this live is specifically for you. So Harry, go ahead and introduce yourself for those of you who are new in the room.
What's up, y'all? I'm Harry King Holmes, and I am an IG and ads and sales coach for women who are in the online health, fitness, and wellness space. And so glad to be doing this live with you, Elle. You know what I'm saying? We definitely about to pour into these ladies and pour into everybody that's in the building today. Let's go ahead and jump into it, guys. Listen, if you are an online fitness and wellness coach, and listen, you good at what you do, you already got client testimonials, you're currently serving clients, and you know that what you have is transformational, but you posting, on social media, and you starting to see, you kind of feel like you fighting against the algorithm. You feel like you're in a war with the algorithm, feeling this burnout, and you ready to take things to the next level, figure out how to scale and understand how to get out of survival mode right now. Because what we're seeing, like what the big problem is, you're great at coaching, but right now you kind of just stuck in like this survival mode. And like, let's kind of come back to the foundation of your purpose. You know that God gave you this mission. You know that God gave you this assignment, and you know that it ain't nothing small. You know what I'm saying? But like maybe in 2024 and some of 2025, you kind of felt like you've been playing it small, but you know that that's not what you're here to do. What I want to do is remind you of who you are, remind you of what your assignment is, and then we want to make sure that when you are activating your faith and when you got action behind it, that you are not moving out of alignment and in survival mode, right? But you're moving out of abundance. Let's talk about like what survival mode actually kind of looks like right now, because like let's keep it a buck. People have been going through some hard times. It's different. The world is changing. The world is evolving. But at the same time, there's more people on social media, but there's more distractions on social media. What I'm starting to see is some ladies kind of, instead of looking to show up and be the positive thing on social media, they're falling into the distractions. They're falling into the trends, right? They're doing things that's not in alignment with the person and the woman that she's looking to become. And then she feels like her content is falling on deaf ears. Y'all kind of feel like that sometimes, right? And I know Elle gonna talk about this, but it ain't the content, right, Elle? It definitely ain't the content. So like, have you been seeing some of the stuff like that with some of the ladies you've been talking to, Elle?
Yeah, so one thing that I feel like a lot of coaches get hung up on is the trends or all of the noise. You're seeing all these coaches post 3 to 5 times a day. Then you're seeing follow the trends, the trending audio. You're seeing different types of reels and strategies where they're really fast or they're highly edited, and you're losing confidence because you're feeling like you need to keep up with everybody else, versus staying true to yourself and your own voice and really start speaking to the camera as if you're speaking to her. Yeah. You're only speaking to one person who has one problem, one pain point, and you want to paint the picture in your content of where she's at, and you are talking to her along her journey to get to her end destination, and only her. Yeah. And that's going to cut through the noise. That's going to cut through all of the distractions. Your content's going to pop out because you want to make sure you're speaking directly to her by sharing your story, by sharing a client's story, and speaking to the emotional truth and truly working to build a relatable connection to that one client. Yeah. You don't need to do all the trends. You don't want to do all the tips. We'll actually be sharing a content piece later by following a specific framework, which we're going to break down, which is the GNC framework. Essentially, you want to grab their attention. You want to have the naked truth, real, raw, bold, shift their perspective. Yeah. And always want to have some form of call to action within your content. This is exactly what we're also going to be breaking down within the program, but also within our upcoming challenge.
Like she said, like the naked truth. So it's like, what's really stopping you from showing up, raw, unfiltered? Because like when you acting in survival mode, then it's like everything that happens inside of the business, you're reacting to everything. Everything's an emotional decision. You acting out of fear. This is causing you to be out of alignment. And when you out of alignment, like you're not going to get the goal that God's plan has in place for you. Because if you're not disciplined to God's plan and you going based on your plan, or you jump on social media and you see somebody else posting and you following what they're doing, that ain't your plan. What you doing following that? Then when you do it for so long, then this is causing a lot of doubt. This is causing a lot of comparison. He wants abundance for us, but he wants us to be obedient to the plan though. Like we can't expect to, get all these different things, get the finances and get the car and the vacations and making sure that like the family and everybody is financially free. We can't get these things if we acting out of obedience. So like what does this lead to? What does this lead to in the business when we talk about making these decisions in the business? Then it's like it's certain things like, okay, you may have to look at certain foundations in your business and not necessarily like tear the whole business down, but some things may needs to evolve. But if you acting out of fear, then you procrastinate those things, or you may need to start getting more visibility because it's more coaches in the space. So how you was the go-to person in 2021, you may not be that person right now. But if you keep acting out of fear, then it's certain things in the business that are going to allow you to get that visibility, and you procrastinating, you're not doing it because you're looking at what everybody else is doing. So we need you to get back to her. We need you to get back to her.
Yeah, eliminate the content burnout. Stop being anxious. I do want to bring up a scripture now because having God as the base of your foundation. But Philippians 4:6, do not be anxious about anything, but in everything by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known to God. Right. And so that's saying you want to lead with faith. You want to lead with purpose. Yeah. There is false evidence appearing real. It doesn't exist. So when you step out in faith and in purpose and you're leading with alignment, when you're speaking to her specifically, you're also leading with her specifically, regardless of what people might think or say. That one client is going to connect and resonate with you. Yeah. And it's also not about, I think another thing we get caught up on is vanity metrics, or you might feel like you need a huge following, or this reel it's not viral, it doesn't have 10,000 views. Listen, you only need 1,000. You can just have 100 views, but that one content, you spoke to that one person, that one client. And guess what? Now it enters your self-selling sales system, gets on a call, and you just landed a $2,000 client or more from your 100-view reel because you stayed in alignment with God's purpose, God's missions, God's message. And that's what it takes. And so one of the things that you want to believe instead, outside of the anxiety, outside of the fear, is be intentional, having aligned messaging. And I know, for example, I'll bring up a client example. Nitra, I have a client, Nitra. She was creating all the content. She was getting burnt out, but her messaging for some reason just wasn't aligning with her clients. Then she started implementing the organic self-selling system. Showing up, going live, speaking directly to her. Her content wasn't going viral, but guess what? Now she started getting books out throughout the week because now her content was aligned with her messaging. And that led to ready-to-buy buyers, which goes into monetization. And then she went from $8,000 in her coaching standard monthly to $28,000 in just 90 days by staying true to her voice, her messaging, showing up consistently. And I know here you have some examples too of clients that really followed in alignment with the self-selling process and system too. Yeah,
most definitely. Yeah, because it's like the way that it's built, and the reason why L is speaking about messaging is like the messaging is not just having marketable messaging, and how you position yourself, you know what I'm saying, but like it's in alignment with what you do privately with your clients. Because one thing that I see a lot where messaging is not in alignment, I'll look at like what somebody is doing privately with their clients and the transformation that they're getting, the internal and external transformation that they're getting. And then I jump on their social media and it's like, it's not the same thing. You know what I'm saying? The value that I see privately is not being displayed and articulated the right way publicly, right? So like then the marketing is off and the sales system is off. So like once we can like fix that middle part and have those systems on the back end where the messaging is not just on point when it comes to organic content, but also now what's being inside of this self-selling sales system. Because here's the thing, I don't know about y'all, but I know L, you got a son, I got a son. We're not just CEOs. That's just one title that we have. You get what I'm saying? L's a speaker. I do consulting. L does consulting, right? We have friends. We have family members. I'm a son. My dad just got, diagnosed with dementia. Like we got other things going on outside of our business, guys. So imagine if things are coming up with our personal lives, and the only way for us to make money is to jump behind the camera on social media and post. As we get older, I'm 37, I'll be 38. And one thing that I'm learning as I get older, right? Like we have other responsibilities. So we have to now start working smarter in our business instead of working harder. So when we can work smarter and say we're handling business outside of social media, this self-selling sales system still allows us to make money, get people booked on a calendar, and serve at the highest level. That's what I love about it. You know what I'm saying? And I had one of my clients, she has a self-selling sales system in her business, and she has 3 kids. How many kids she got? She got like 2 or 3 kids, right? And one day she just took them all to Chuck E. Cheese. She didn't post anything. It was like a school. It was during a week where they had to be at school, but she was like, you know what? I'm just going to take them out of school and we just going to hang out, and she still had calls getting booked on her calendar that day, even though her kids wasn't at school, and she didn't actively post on social media that day, but she was still able to enjoy her life outside of the business while the business still runs. That's what I love about that.
If you're a mom, if you're in the room and you're a mom, type a 1 in the chat. Or you got kids, you're a parent, type a 1 in the chat. But one thing, going off of what Harry was just saying, when you think about the self-selling system, one, it's a mindset and a belief shift that you're going to have.
Yep.
Okay? Because instead of being on the hamster wheel or on the race of like, you got to keep going, you're in survival mode, it's going to be having a CEO level lens looking down in your business of how can you fully optimize the business from the inside out to really actually help remove you from the business. Yeah. So as Harry was just saying, 3 to 4 kids, Chuck E. Cheese, living her life, but her content's working for her in the background. Yeah. Her sales system is working for her in the background. Calls are still being booked in the background because she took a 360 view of her business, looked inside and see what needed to shift, what needed to change. Yeah. She switched her messaging next. Yeah. Her messaging is now in the line speaking to her clients. Next, she started being able to monetize that through ad campaigns implemented in the business with a specific proven strategy that now you're able to multiply and excel and 10x your business with this system. Yeah. And if you know that you've been creating content and necessarily hasn't been converting, it's hitting deaf ears, you're posting. Drop convert in the comments for a free content to clients course, breaking down the exact marketing psychology and step-by-step strategy of how you can have your content working for you seamlessly in the background. It's not about vanity metrics. It's not about getting tons and tons of views. It's about speaking to the right client, that one person, plus a business audit. Yeah. And I wanted to also share another scripture. Write the vision, make it a plan, and he may run who reads it. You have to write the vision down, and then you want to be intentional and action driven when you're building out the business and the ecosystem so you can be funneling clients to you. Yeah. Right.
I like that you said be intentional. And listen, guys, being intentional is not easy. I want to be honest with y'all. Being intentional is not easy. Activating your faith is not easy. Being obedient is not. I don't want to sit here and lie to y'all. It's not easy, right? We have to have a poised mindset. We have to be able to master our emotions when we have this big assignment that God gave us, guys. Listen, check this out. If you have goals of making $30,000 a month and say right now, maybe you're making $5,000 a month, you can't get too high, you can't get too low. Like how you act, like how you're stewarding right now with that big goal of $30,000 a month. Don't wait till you hit $30,000 a month. Do the things that you need to do as this woman who is making that type of money. And what does that look like? You may not feel like showing up for social media. You may not feel like doing your sales activities. You may not feel like actually updating your KPI tracker and update your numbers so you can make sound decisions, data-driven decisions, instead of saying, oh, well, I didn't get this over the last 2 days, so I'm not going to do anything. That's an emotional decision. That is not how the CEO mindset that Elle was talking about. That is what being intentional is about. It's like, okay, I didn't get any calls booked over the last 2 days. Let me see what I didn't do, and let me see the areas that I need to improve on based on the numbers, based on facts, right? It's like, let me show up regardless. I just want to be honest with y'all. Like, that's not going to be hard, but it is going to be worth it.
Tracking your numbers. Drop a 2 in the chat if you track your numbers, and then drop a 0 in the chat if you don't. If you don't know your numbers, like if I was like, "Hey, girl, so how many calls you have booked this week? How many people have you reached out to?
Yeah.
How's your last reel performing? Based off those numbers, whether the shifts and changes we make, like drop a 2. Like be honest. Be
I
real.
see.
If you are not tracking your KPIs, drop a 0 in the chat.
Yeah.
Like, you need to be looking at your numbers every single day. And actually, Harry made a good point. It's been 2 days. Calls aren't being booked. Okay, what do I need to tweak? But I remember you sharing a story. I think recently, just yesterday, you had a client. She's like, "Man, movement's not happening," or "I got these calls booked. It's not converting how I expected," and she thought she needed to change her whole strategy.
Oh man.
Like, wait, no.
And you know what? That ain't even a whole story. Like, it was literally like she was doing great that month, but she had like, I guess she had 2 or 3 calls with someone who was aligned, and she didn't get the close. She got a no. Somebody told her no on the call, right? And listen, I've been coaching women for the last 5 years. I know y'all don't like the word no. I know y'all don't. But we got to get used to we got to get used to hearing it. So she heard no a couple times in the DM, a couple times on a sales call, and it made her feel a certain type of way. She wanted to change stuff. I don't coach people like that. I'm like, nah, sis, I need you to get used to hearing the word no, because God probably saved you from enrolling a bad client, or this was probably a lesson that you needed to learn in order to get used to hearing the word no. Because you heard yes so many times this month, now you all spoiled. So that's what I mean by don't get too high, don't get too low. We have to be poised. And being poised means that you're grateful. You're grateful that you got a call book and you help somebody navigate through a decision, regardless of if that was a yes, I'm ready to sign up, or if that was a no, not right now. When you can act like that and you can be grateful, then you can detach yourself away from the money. Because like, if you chasing money don't work like that. Money want to chase the problems. Money want to chase the leaders. Broke people, poor people chase money. You know what I'm saying? And God ain't give you this mission and this assignment for you to be poor and broke. I don't believe in that. I don't think he did that for us.
So, Harry, I would love for you to break down specifically some of the key benefits of when you actually have a self-selling ecosystem running for you in the background in your business.
Man, sales is fun, yo. Seriously. Like when you have this self-selling sales system, it is genuinely fun, and you can genuinely just serve these ladies. So like, I use it in my business, right, for helping online fitness and wellness coaches, but I also use it in other businesses that I'm partners with when we're serving women with their fitness and their health. And some of these calls I actually take, and these women be saying thank you. These be the first time I ever met these women, and they tell me thank you for selling them a high ticket coaching offer. And then they get into the coaching container and they do a good job, and they tell the coaches like, yo, like, thank you for Coach Harry. Like, because like I don't have any pressure. I don't have any pressure or anything like that. I can do what I'm called to do, which is help lead people on this call. And I'm not saying I get a yes every time, absolutely not. But it just allows me to be present with the person, and allows me to really like make a connection with them, because a lot of us came from like a personal training background. In person, like, we're connecting with people, like we love that connection. But now that it's like online, I can still make that powerful and like strong connection with people through my selling, because I don't have to be pushy. I'm not attached to the sale. So like, these are the benefits of it. And you get more people to more bought in. So you get more money up front. You don't get little small deposits because people still tiptoeing around if they want to work with you or not. You get people that's like, yes, I'm ready to do this. I need this. And they either pay in full or put them. I'm not saying everyone pays in full. I want to be honest with y'all, right? But you get these ladies to say, yes, this is something that I want to do. No buyer's remorse. They get into the container and they show up, and they are really, really good clients.
Ready to buy, excited. You're closing more sales without pressure. You're getting more commitments from new clients, even if they come in cold, because when they come into your ecosystem, you're making them also aware of what they need, what they're seeking, what they're looking for, what they desire.
Yeah.
And as through the psychology of the sales system, you're helping overcome and shift some of their belief system, the limiting beliefs they might have, the doubts, the fears, the anxieties, and seeing what is actually possible by working with you, the solution, the coach, their guidance, the light that's going to guide them to the success and their desired outcome with this system. That's why you're able to sign more clients. Even if you're not getting the paying in fools, you're getting someone's like, listen, I might not be able to do it today, but I know once I get this, I'm coming right directly back to you.
Yeah. You get people that's committed versus trying to convince people of your value. The reason why you're convincing people of your value on sales calls is because they haven't actually been introduced to the value before the sales call. So the self-selling sales system does that. It introduces them to the value. They see how your unique mechanism is like the thing that they actually need in the marketplace. They see that, okay, like values are aligned. So they actually get to know you, know your background, right? Know you as a coach. And then you actually start, like the self-selling sales system is actually coaching them through their own beliefs about themselves, right? So if you serve women, you know that you get a lot of women that have like certain limiting beliefs about themselves and, guilt and I can't do this and all these different things. So the self-selling sales system is actually coaching them, not necessarily telling them go eat food or go do X, Y, and Z, but it's getting them to have more confidence and belief in themselves. So by the time they show up to the sales call, you've already provided some sort of transformation for them mentally. So when you do that, it's a lot easier for the person to see that how working with you privately is going to be valuable.
Yes. And then as a result, now you are abundantly attracting more aligned clients consistently into your ecosystem, into your retainer. Now you're able to overcome and exceed that $10,000 threshold, get to $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 in your coaching retainer. Yes, as an online wellness and fitness coach, this is possible. You might think like, is that even possible? Yes,
it's definitely
you'll have
possible.
More fulfillment, more transformations. Like you'll be happier and vibrant because as a mom, I saw a lot of parents here in the chat. Like you're going to be able to have more time freedom for your little ones to spend with your family and just to enjoy life and feel like you're really in alignment with God's calling. Now you're transforming lives. You're being a leader, and then the sky is the limit. Now you're getting booked to go speak at wellness retreats and events to empower women. You're hosting your own, weekend brunches to empower women. You're writing a best-selling book from your experiences and the women you've been able to reach down and pull up with you on your journey. Right. And this is what's possible when you lead with intention, when you're showing up with your messaging and your content, and you're being faith-led, like you're being in alignment and being a servant of what God has called you to do. And that's one of also I wanted to share the reason why me and Harry decided to partner together. One faith foundation is very big, but what we saw is there's people out there who they're running ads, right? But they're not teaching you the organic content and messaging strategy to connect with the heart and the soul of your female clients. And then there's content strategies that you can only scale so much before you can really scale. You're going to need to run ads. So we married these two together. We merged and created this partnership so you can have the best of both worlds in this self-selling sales ecosystem within Convert to Scale.
Man, that just gave me chills, yo.
And so you're going to be able to convert more of your content and your messaging to speak to your ideal clients, your women that you're going to transform, and you're going to be able to scale seamlessly with Instagram DM ads. And again, if you know that, you want to learn more about this and you want to learn more about this content strategy, look, comment Convert for our free content to clients course and a business health assessment, so we can really look at where's some of the bottlenecks that you can fine tune and assess to start scaling to that next level.
But also too, right? Anytime I'm making decisions, I always ask myself, what are the consequences to? We always like to talk about what are the benefits, the things that I can get, but what are the consequences behind if I actually don't take action or if I don't do something? These are questions that I ask myself in my personal life and in my business life. The last thing I want to do is be disobedient. I don't know. I just don't want to do that. I don't care too much, to keep it a buck with y'all. I don't care too much about letting other people down, right? It's people that's close to me and it's I ain't letting you down, right? But I don't want to let God down. I don't want to get to those gates and be I procrastinated this. I didn't do that. I know you gave me that assignment. I want to get to those pearly gates and be yo, bro, check it out. Look at this resume. Checked off, checked off, checked off, checked off. What's good? So I don't never want to be disobedient. if you look at like the assignment that you have in your business, some of the consequences behind like not actually doing the things that you need to do in your business could lead to being disobedient. Well, whatever that looks like for you, I want you to write down like for the entire year, what are some of the consequences behind if I don't complete this mission? Because I guarantee you, once you write them down and you read them, you're gonna get up and do something about your problem. You're gonna get up and do exactly like what you need to do in order to complete that assignment. And because the only way to get them benefits that me and Elle was just talking about is that you got to complete the assignment.
Regardless of how you feel, because there's gonna be days. Listen, on this entrepreneur journey, there's gonna be days like, God, why did I wake up and sign up for this? Like,
man, I ain't gonna lie. Like today was one of them days for me, Elle. I ain't gonna stunt. When I was like, yo, like you got 2 minutes, I ain't gonna stunt. I was in the car, I was in the truck, and I was parked in the parking lot in front of the gym. And I was like, I don't feel like going in here. I don't feel like going live. I'm tired, bro. We talked about business, but like really that got me out the car and get me to do what the hell I needed to do. God sent you to me. God sent me to you. I feel like God sends us people to hold us accountable, you know what I'm saying, and to be obedient to our assignment, especially if things are aligned. Do you got somebody that you can lean on that's going to hold you accountable and then make sure you get up and do what you need to do so you can complete that assignment? So I thank God for you, Elle, because I sure was finna turn that whip around, go to the crib and take me a nap. But I'm like, nah, I got to show up on these lives. I got to show up for my clients. I got to show up for people. Yeah, I got to show up for myself, most definitely.
yes, and yeah, so yeah, really ask yourself that, like, how are you showing up every single day? Not just in your business, not just here on in social media, but how are you showing up? Are you making it being intentional about also spending time with God, spending
Yes.
time in the Word, allowing Him to feed and to pour into you and give you those downloads? Because if you're feeling lost, if you're feeling a lack of clarity, He will give it to you.
Yeah.
Like some days, literally, I will pray, I will open my Bible, and I will tell God, like, take me to the scripture that I need today. And lo and behold, almost every time He never fails, and He's speaking right to me, the food for my soul that I needed in that moment, in that day, to give me the push I needed to, like, okay, let's go get this.
Yeah.
Let's go after this. Yeah. Remember your why. Why are you showing up in your business? Why are you doing this? Why do you want to reach 10K? Yeah. Why do you want to reach 20, 30K? Like, what is that going to do for you and your family and your life? It's more than money.
It got to. It gotta be. Money's a good thing. Money's a good thing. Money's a tool. But like if you don't know what you're gonna use it for, then you just setting goals because somebody told you to do it. Listen, go ahead and DM. I see I done got some DMs already. So go ahead and DM us the word convert and we'll get you access to that content to clients course. And I'm actually gonna throw in something. I'm gonna throw in another free thing for y'all, right? There's a step inside of the self-selling sales process. And I know Coach V and Coach Tanya may be mad at me. There's a step inside of there called the health assessment. I'm gonna throw that in to y'all for free too. So I'm gonna give y'all that.
We'll be going live every single Thursday at 4 p.m. Central, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Hope you found this valuable. You definitely want to walk into the self-selling system and learn more about it. So reach out to us, and we look forward to seeing you in the next live.
Definitely. See y'all.
Be blessed.